ahoy, and good day once again to ye mateys! I be your wacky and detoxing DM, Josh the Pirate, and it brings me more delight than a rosewater-based delicacy of the Mediterranean to welcome ye back to Corsairs Cove and me Humblewood world for some more of Midnight and Madness. With me, I have me hearty crewmate, lurking out of the great beyond and finally back on the correct side of the country, it's Ellie. Whee! Ellie, who the heck are you?
It's me, Ellie. Don't come at me, Nintendo. Yes, so I am a serial lurker of D&D streams. Occasionally you'll see me on streams like this, but usually you'll see me being a very boring office worker. Sad life.
Everybody's got to make them monies. Well, splendid. And I be Josh the Pirate. You know my face from here. This is where I lurk generally. I am one half of Corsairs Cove. I run D&D here and other RPG-related things with my lovely wife Karen, the mother of bunnies, and all my splendid friends. Normally it's D&D, but we branch out every now and again. We play a little bit of Major Magica. We really enjoy Jason Statham's Big Vacation. Strong recommendation there. I told one of the groups I run games for professionally, and they were like, we weren't sure if you were joking about that, actually. And I was like, oh no, it's a real thing. Here's the YouTube link. Seriously, do yourself a favor and go watch. It is full-on roleplay, but it's very, very funny. Strong recommendation there. And I wouldn't be at all surprised. There's a couple of trans rights for such and such bundles out there at the moment. There's one for Palestine and there's one for trans rights in one of the states. There's always one of the states. Over on Itch, if you want to go and check them out. And I reckon you probably find Jason Statham's Big Vacation in it. Don't quote me on it, but it wouldn't shock me at all. Those do tend to be in that, like, along with Honey Heist. It's all by the same author. So, before we go any further, we do need to talk about the Ukrainian folks. They're the ones who received the bulk of our love. Ukraine going through a bit of a war right now. A bit of a war. I expect they'd probably think a little bit more strongly than that. It's going through quite a lot of a war right now. More than a war than they would really appreciate, and they'd like it to stop. And that war has generated quite a lot of refugees. So if you have any spare pennies in your digital wallet, please consider chucking them over at the Emergency Action Appeal, which helps raise money for... It's an Australian-based charities and not-for-profits raising money for the Ukrainian refugees. That's that. So yeah, if you can, good on you, bloody champions. I must also remind our haunted, spoopy, and possibly even ethereal audience to please like, follow, and subscribe to all the things, you bloody champions. We have all the exclamation mark socials. We have a YouTube where you can check out all 157 episodes of Humblewood, as well as a few other bits and pieces. It's been a lot. There's an awful lot. Including all of Eliby's previous exploits. Exclusively as Jabin's, interestingly. I did a count recently, because I was mildly curious, of how many player characters have been which race in the Humblewood, because Jabin is the most popular, along with its equal with Corvum. And I was like, crow people and mouse people, interesting. With Mapatch being third place. 7 mainline player characters each.
Did you do a count of exactly what types of personalities each of these characters have? Because I'm pretty sure 90% of the Jabin population are stabby.
Are attractive young women and stabby, yes.
Sounds about right.
157, that guy's Strider. We're well into our 2nd century. Good to see you though, mate. How are you? We also have a Discord if you want to come and hang out with us there. Chat with the cast and post pictures of your... we actually have some amazing stuff going up in the Creative Arts channel at the moment. XCat Darkness is putting up some of their home artwork, and it's fucking dope. Along with homebrew classes and stuff like that. Whenever I homebrew up something, it goes up in our Discord. So there are some... yeah, some pretty cool homebrew stuff. Roro just redeemed an inspiration. I have to assume it's for Eliby because no one likes the DM. So there's an inspiration for Eliby. What the hell? Yeah, Roro lurks today. Well, guys, what else do I need to say? The music that is gracing your ear holes is by Sirenscape, and it's actually doing it right now. We are affiliated with a couple of... Yes, you can do so. I mean, yeah, chuck it up. You can give D4s as well if you want. We are also affiliated with a couple of wonderful bunches of beans. Wooten Forge Gaming Accessories. Greetings and salutations. Hey, Tank Hunter, good to see you, mate. Like these gorgeous dice keepers here, they make some fantastic things. This is the top, the lid, goes on like that. Very strong magnets. They are all artisanal quality, handcrafted tabletop accessories out of exotic and Australian hardwoods, often reclaimed, which is super cool and very much my vibe. We are also affiliated with Trollord Games, who are a splendid bunch of beans. They are very helpful in the TTRPG space, particularly in the online space. They have their own system, the Castles and Crusades system. If you want to check that out, head over to twitch.tv/Trollord Games because they are always streaming something cool, and if you fancy perking up some of it yourself, then you can head over to trolllord.com. They were also the last publishing house for the great Gary Gygax, our TTRPG Lord and Savior TM. So yeah, you can check out all of their stuff over there. Very, very solid bunch of folks. So, previously in Barovia, times were a little bit fucky, things were a little bit shit. Trish was a little bit cursed, and Ezmerelda was a little bit fixing Smoothie's gear. Most recently, we have been in Valakai, where the group sort of split up at the end of the last season after turning over a were-prowler nest. Killing probably about half of the were-prowler population in and around Valakai, and also taking all of their children. But the children weren't theirs originally, so it's all fine and groovy. The were-prowlers were increasing their numbers by turning children into were-prowlers and then raising them as such, which is not the nicest thing that you could do. So the gang rather vigorously disagreed with them on this point, and murdered a whole bunch of them, found somebody who was willing to be the new leader and totally groovy about taking the kids home to their people. And the downside of this, however, is that meant that the gang had a whole bunch of kids that needed to go in a whole bunch of different directions. Nearly half the children had been stolen from the Humblewood, and there was only a few people who could actually leave to take the kids back. So Smoothie volunteered to go back to the Humblewood, take half a dozen children back with him. Ezmerelda and Van Richten chose to go to Barovia, taking some kids with them, which left Selenox and Trish just a single pair of kids who needed to get to Kresk. And Kresk is a bit of a ways, so the ladies loaded up this pair of hedge children and tracked on back to Kresk. I imagine Selenox kind of hoping that she'd run into Yevgeny at some point, but she has not yet. Tank Hunter, thank you very much for the follow, you bloody champion. Avast, matey, you wee scallywag. Yeah, the ladies found some stuff at the Wizard of Wines had gotten a tiny bit fucky. But they resolved the whole business. The druids are mostly dead, and the ones that aren't are buggered off. Oh yeah, no, you did not. Even you forgot about him, didn't you, you monster? I'd forgotten where Soot is, Bishop Blood. I need to go back, and this is why we've got the YouTube, so I can go back and figure out what the fuck I did with some of these characters. Yeah, you do need to drop in on Yevgeny. I seriously considered having them be Yevgeny's kids that you had saved, because that would be funny to me. And yeah, Smoothies had a lovely time back in the Humblewood. Very nice place that he really enjoyed and had significantly considered. Like, Jack played it perfectly that he really doesn't want to go back. And I unintentionally, but I loved it, put him in a position where he kind of has to. Because he can't fix Trish's curse without having done so. And he did pretty much fix Trish's curse. As we learned last session, Trish still has the mark of the Curse of Eventual Death on her hand, but the connection between the person who cast it and her seems to have been severed. by the wonderful Smoothie and his partner in crime, Kesh, who jumped over because I love crossing the streams. We return to Barovia and Barovia, where Van Richten and Ezmerelda have been heading to for the last couple of days. So, mateys, may no allies fix things better than you, and all your mentors not have kept horrible and possibly homicidal secrets from you, as we head, tremulously at first, and then with mounting anxiety and dread, into Barovia. Feels so good to be back in the wood. So we return to Barovia, and actually the town of Barovia, which is a super groovy time. Ezmerelda and Van Richten, in his guise of Rictavio, won't someone think of the child? There was loads of people thinking of the children. Rictavio, the great Rictavio, the great ringleader of the as yet to be formed circus of Barovia, are escorting a group of children back to Barovia after rescuing them from a group of wereprowlers outside Valakai. The children are a small and quiet group, both physically and also there aren't very many of them. The eldest is an Eluran boy, a catfolk, who is soot black, named Matteo. He's about 8 years old, and while they are all happy to see their families again, they aren't quite as enthused as you'd expect about going home. We're about a day out from Barovia at the moment, I'm going to say Ezmerelda and Rictavio took Rictavio's cart, or possibly, I don't know, because Eza has hers as well, doesn't she? Would you have wanted to bring yours with?
If it has the same kit, I'm assuming she would have left it and possibly...
Yours is probably better.
Yeah. We took mine.
Yeah, sure. Okay, he's fine with that. He's just like, oh, I'll look, if your friends don't mind me leaving mine in their warehouse in Valakai, it's just honestly, it's a jolly good idea. Central location, having a place where you can just store stuff when you don't need it. Brilliant. Love the idea. It's not off the beaten track at all. This is very convenient. Well, no, I'm happy to come with you then. On we hop, children, on we go. There we are. Yeah, isn't it splendid? Look, yes, I'll promise I'll show you the juggling again on the way, all right? Here we go. Okay.
Please do not touch anything.
Yes, children, don't touch anything here, okay? There's a lot of potentially dangerous and spiky things. We're very potentially dangerous and spiky people, all right? Yes, jolly good. I won't either.
That the warning was for you.
I assumed that, yes. I was being, yes. So, do you have anything you need to do in Barovia while we're heading that ways?
Honestly, I do not think so. It is not a place I would like to stay for very long.
No, I agree completely. Mind you, you are, well, whilst with me, the one that sees all actually can't see all. He can't see me. Or an area of about 20 feet around me. And he twiddles one of his hands. Now, Van Richten is a servant, but he doesn't look like it right now. He is currently in the guise of a Vulpin, which would appear to be, like, it's a disguise, absolutely. And yes, he twiddles his fingers, and as your magical senses can detect very easily, that he is wearing not one but two magic rings. You have seen him remove one of them. And flicker quickly back to servant before putting it back on again. So you know one of them alters his form. It says, Ring of Mind Shielding. Can't spot me, can't scry me. It's probably the only reason I'm still alive.
Is that ring tuned just to you, or will it only work on Strahd?
Oh, it works on anybody. As in, no one can find me. So if you've tried to scry me, I apologize. No, you can't. No one does.
Good to know.
If you do need to get in contact, sending? Your friend Smoothie knows it, so if you do need to sort of hit me up, it'll work, theoretically.
Well, for now you're stuck with me, so I shouldn't need to send anything to you when you're 2 feet away.
Well, quite. Well, quite. Except the occasional irritated look, apparently.
This is just my face.
And he chuckles and says, "You know, I have missed you."
I have missed you too, old man, but you could have fixed that.
Yes. Well, I know you don't appreciate it, but it actually was for your safety.
How well have you trained me?
I know. But this isn't just any old vampire. I'm getting on, and I thought I'd give it a shot before I was too old, but you know how many have tried and died. There was a wizard last year, I heard, on the grapevine, came down to Barovia from elsewhere, and I have not been able to find out exactly where the chap came from. Some loomer bloke rocks up, black cloak, black everything, gold piping down it, clearly the richest man anyone's ever seen, and gets the town of Barovia up into a right tizzy, I don't mind telling you. Basically led a rebellion. They made it to the gate of Ravenloft before half of his followers just said, actually, you know what, I prefer to live. Turned around and ran off. He fought Strahd pretty much one-on-one for a day and a night. The vampire lives, so don't know what happened to the wizard.
Well, that then tells you it is stupid to fight him alone.
I wasn't. I was pursuing options for allies.
Except the ones you already had.
I was planning, actually, to hit you up at a later date, but, you know, I was doing groundwork.
And what would you have done if I was already busy?
I'd have waited, honestly. If you were up for it, and if you would forgive me.
Forgive is strong term.
I know, that's the problem.
But yes, we are here now with small children.
Oh, they'll be fine. They're very well behaved, aren't they? You are. Well done.
Yes,
Soon we'll have you back with mums and dads. Back in home in Barovia. They are not. Prepare yourself for. I haven't been myself, but after this wizard. Look, it probably isn't. It was never the best place, but I imagine it probably wasn't a very nice. It's not a nice place at all now. I just don't think there's anywhere else we could really take these little ones. I believe his retaliation upon the town was fairly
Swift?
Yes. Brutal was the word I was going to use.
Also fair.
Look, someone led them in a revolt against their rightful, and that is obviously in massive air quotes, ruler. He kind of, I believe, he certainly obviously thinks he has the right.
There is no right.
No.
He only takes.
Yes. So, well, this has actually started me down an interesting train of thought. See, I'm beginning to suspect that he can't be killed. Not without doing something fairly major first. When I say groundwork, I really mean it. You see, how much do you know about the elemental planes?
Enough to be dangerous.
Very. Well, the elemental planes are, to all intents and purposes, sentient. They are gods. Indeed, I believe the material plane is unique in that it is not sentient. It's not alive in and of itself. Well, we are here in a plane. Most planes are alive. Now, it's not as big as any of the others, not by a long shot. It's a demi-plane at best. But even a demi-plane, I mean, he knows pretty much all that goes on here. It would not shock me if Strahd and Barovia are almost one and the same. Now, how do you defeat an entire plane? Well, you break it.
That would make logical sense, but also, how do you kill someone who is, for all intents and purposes, good?
You don't. You put it to sleep. It's what Ardea and Titan did with the elemental planes in the first place. They tricked
But putting to sleep would not solve the problem.
No. No. The real problem is, where the hell did Strahd get the kind of power to shave a bit of the material plane off and make himself a god in the first place? There's only one sort of being in the existence that is capable of doing that. A god. And there are only 6.
Kill.
So an interesting train of thought. Well, my supposition is nothing can leave here, not without his say-so. So you want to break his power, you make something able to leave that without his say-so. One small crack.
Will be enough to fix the entire picture.
Can be, if you work at it hard enough.
Okay. I see where you're going with this, but...
Well, there's an awful lot of ifs and buts, and we'll see when we get to Barovia exactly. But I do have a thought. And I may need you to help me with it. In fact, I almost certainly will. Probably going to be a lot of ins and outs and arounds and so forth. But well, let's get these little ones back before we say or do anything that they might hear.
Yes, we do need to try to raise the morale.
Yes. Well, good point. And he reaches into his pocket and gets out a pair of a trio of little balls that are that brightly coloured. That, if you looked carefully on them, would say, "Is no fun, is no Belinsky," on them, and he starts juggling them. Actually, first roll of the game, why not? Can you make me an Arcana check?
How did I know this was coming? Oh, no, I can't, apparently. Oh, here we go. That was a 23.
23. A 23, yeah, he ain't juggling shit. The balls never left his hands, he just made them invisible with a minor illusion spell. And he is doing roughly the right hand gestures. And the balls are doing all kinds of shit that gravity would not normally allow. The kids are very impressed. Yeah. Whilst not exactly, more, they are very much like, oh. It keeps them entertained for hours. He said the best part about doing it this way is that, horse and cart and everything. Doesn't matter. Be an absolute pain in the backside to do this on a moving cart if I was using actual balls. With little further talk of note, you arrive at Barovia about a day later. Tall shapes loom out of the scene, out of the dense fog that surrounds everything. The muddy ground underfoot gives way to slick, wet cobblestones. The tall shapes become recognizable as village dwellings. The windows of each house stare out from pools of blackness. No sound cuts the silence except for a mournful sobbing that echoes through the streets from a distance. Such a nice place.
Delightful.
Yes, well, here we are. Lovely. How marvellous. It is also, it's middle of the day, and it is as dusk, if not later, in terms of lights out. And he says, Matteo, where would we find your parents? Where's home? Can you lead us? And Matteo sort of quietly sort of gestures up the high street and to the left. You take the cart up there, and you slowly deliver the kids home one at a time. The parents are, almost without exception, they're all happy, but smiles are a very rare commodity here. Most of the parents weep, but it's not necessarily a happy reunion. They are glad their children are alive, and sort of also a little bit sad that they are too. We're kind of like, we'd mourned and moved on, and now they're out of it at least. But yeah, it was a fairly yes, big pause on this Vulcan.
Ez is just gonna turn to Richten and be like, why do I feel like we have just delivered the children back to hell?
What else would you have us do, my dear? Where else could we take them?
Everything needed to be put back to rights.
Yes.
It just does not feel right.
No, I did seriously contemplate just saying, why don't we send them all with your young Terran friend? But their parents have rights.
They do.
And honestly, there was an element in my mind as well of, whilst your friend Smoothie can leave, not absolutely certain the children can. Not without Strahd's say-so, so there was that as well. But I didn't want to bring it up beforehand in case it all went pear-shaped. I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure he's fine. My good man, I'm looking for a young lady around here called Irina. Irina, I believe it is. Irina Kolyana. And the Strig, the father of the last child delivered, says, ask at the tavern. Look for Ismark the Lesser. He can tell you of that one. Yes, the rest of Barovia. Ooh, among mates D&D. Hello. Lovely seeing you. Cleric as well. Thank you for joining us. Greetings. So he says, well, Ez, fancy a drink after a good deed well done?
They will never turn down a drink, but who is this Irina? You ask after?
Well, let's talk on the road, shall we? Good day, thank you, and not a problem at all. It was on our way anyway. Have a lovely yes. He escorts you back to the cart, and you travel back to the tavern. He says, well, in terms of poking holes in a plane, Irina Kolyana is said to bear a striking resemblance to one Tatiana.
That Tatiana?
That Tatiana.
How striking are we talking?
Well, I don't know. I've never actually met the woman. But souls can't leave. And reincarnation happens semi-regularly. What if it is her? I imagine he could sense her. If we could get her out, that's a crack. And one being I can't imagine him hurting.
Yes, but that is insane.
I am quite mad.
Yeah, I realized it, but you're going
Chad, I hope the balance of music and our audio is okay. It's hard for me to tell. You admit it. In a fun way, not in a dangerous way, in a charming and sort of genial way.
Also dangerous.
I mean, yes, but not a dangerous to my friends sort of a way. Perfect, excellent, thanks very much. Nailed it. What I heard was that this Irina was taken in by the Burgermeister of Barovia. And, well, Ismark the Lesser is not the Burgermeister. It's his son. So, what's the phrase that your friends are fond of? Shit's gotten fucky?
It is why you wanted me here, isn't it?
How do you mean?
I know you. You move people around to do your bidding without them realizing what they're in for, and then you spring this shit on them.
I was quite upfront with you.
You were quite upfront that we were bringing children back. Then we leave. This does not sound like we bring children back and leave. This sounds like we brought children back on way to do something else. With the major shit fuckery.
No, we're not going to do whatever we're going to do here. We need to get her out of here.
Do you think it will be easy to get her out?
No, I don't. That's why I brought you. If you're going to point a single finger at me about wanting your assistance with something, this would be it. But I didn't. But I did sort of mention it on the road. I did say, but I didn't want flapping ears listening. Because we're taking them back to their mums and dads who may or may not be in the thrall of one Strad von Zarevich.
So fair, but at the same time, do not hide behind children.
Very well, very well. In which case, I shall be completely honest and clear with you that I actually don't think getting Irina out is even possible. What wouldn't surprise me, however, is if there is another soul here that we might be able to convince to get out.
There is more than one?
Sergei. He's never reincarnated.
Which either means...
he doesn't want to. Which means he has far more internal mobility than most. Cleric, thanks very much for the follow, you bloody champion. Avast, matey, you wee scallywag!
Yes. I want to slap you, but at the same time, I also think that kind of genius, but no, I think the slapping is kind of winning. You may want to walk faster.
Well, you have also actually kind of made the acquaintance of Sergei as well. If we're being completely frank and honest. That blade your friend Trish has, the glowy one, that was his. And it glows for a reason.
Well, we kind of figured that out, Sherlock.
Well, look. Don't get angry with me for telling you things you already knew. I didn't know what you know. I'm just trying to avoid a good slapping.
Fair, fair. How much longer till this bar?
I think it's just up there. I really hope so. A single shaft of light thrusts illumination into the main square, its brightness looking like a solid pillar in the heavy fog. Above the gaping doorway, a sign hangs precariously askew, proclaiming this to be the Blood of the Vine Tavern. I'll tie the horses up. And he does so and then heads inside. First one's on me, unless we can find his mark, in which case first one's hopefully on him. Entering, it is smoky and bustly and it's not a happy tavern. It's not like the Blue Water Inn in Valakai. But it is such tense flirting. Oh, there's nothing weirder in my brain than that. That's the worst. It's not a happy place, but there are some people doing some very serious drinking. Yes, heading up to the bar. You having a quick look around. Actually, for Ezmerelda, make me a perception check. What am I doing all the work for?
Also true. How terrible is my eyesight today? Pretty awful.
23.
Oh, wait. 23.
Your
23.
eyesight, awful, but Ez is very good.
See shit today. It's great.
Yeah, as you perceive an awful lot, you spot at the bar a trio of Vistana, who have the look of bouncers about them, but not like they're on duty, more like they own the place. They give you two a once-over as you come in. Does Ezmerelda look particularly Vistani?
Depends what that looks like, to be honest. I mean, she's got a skirt on. I'm not sure if that does anything. I don't think she's got any symbols on her, though.
If you think the travelling folk of Europe, colloquially known as the Romani Gypsies, though that is not a very nice word to use to describe them, that is kind of the vibe, really.
Okay.
Big
Not
puffy sleeves and things, yeah. Not really?
No, not overly so.
Yeah. I reckon you probably just dressed as a pair of normal Barovian natives then, and so you don't look like it. There's no like big sign saying I'm Vistani and so's my wife. It's so yeah. They give you the once over. You get the general impression not to cause trouble, I mean, he looks like an older Vulpin gentleman, and you're walking on a well-disguised one leg. So
how much trouble can we get into?
A small Gerbine woman and an older Vulpin man coming in are like, well, look, they're probably not going to be an issue. Even if you are both... well, he's not even visibly armed, though is Ez.
I mean, does her leg count? I mean, she probably is, but not visibly.
Yeah, that was what I figured. I imagine the leg has something as a backup. Like, there's a hand crossbow in the leg. At the very least. Rictavio is walking with a cane that you know for a fact contains a silvered rapier. So, yeah. He leads you up to the bar, which is run by a pudgy hedge named Arik. and says, "Hello, good sir. I'm looking for one Ismark, I believe is the name of the..." And without a word, he just sort of nods to the back corner, where you see a raptor man with dark feathers, except for those on his head, which are like creamy white. He has a yellow beak and piercing blue eyes. Thank you very much. And he smartly sort of strides on over to Ismark and says, "Greetings. I believe you are Ismark, is it? I am Rictavio, my dear friend Ezmerelda. Yes, we have a query regarding, I believe, your sister." Ismark was listening politely until his sister was mentioned. He says, "Adopted sister, yes. Please sit. What can I do for you, fine people?" We are wanting to have a chat with her. Here she's here there's been some things going on with her, and we want to see if we can help, I suppose. You think that about sums it up, Ezmerelda?
Yes, sounds about right to me.
Well, unfortunately, I think my sister will probably not want to entertain guests. Our father passed away last week. She is grieving. So am I, but in my own way. And he holds up his wine glass. "Would you care for a glass?" They toast the Burgermeister together. Yes, I wouldn't say no. Ez?
Like the done thing.
And he pours out a couple of glasses for you, and toasts. What was the name of the? Kolyan Indrievich. Kolyan Indrievich, the former Burgermeister, says, "My sister's heart is broken, and she will not leave our father's side. He loved her at least as much as he loved me, so I want to be clear, I bear no ill will over that, but she will not see or talk to anybody, I suspect, until he is buried, and that is proving to be difficult."
Difficult? How difficult is it to bury the dead?
In Barovia, it's not the easiest thing. The priest rarely leaves his chapel, and you can't just bury someone anywhere. He would have to be in the churchyard. And I am not the most popular man. The people are not keen to help me, even with such a task as burying my father. You may have noticed on the way here, there are not a lot of people out in the streets. And you did. You saw maybe 2 individuals on the drive all the way around town.
There was a distinct lack of activity, yes.
Has been the way the last year or so, since the mad wizard came. My father and I advised against it, but enough people followed him. Everyone has stayed inside since then. It's the safest thing, and I cannot fault anybody for choosing it, but it means there are very few people around to help me carry my father's coffin to the graveyard. But if you wish to speak to my sister, I can make introduction. We would be very obliged, yes.
Yeah.
Well, and just necks it. Then what are we waiting for? Perhaps you can help me carry. Yes, he says, come, follow. I will introduce you. How long are you? And you are now basically at the starting point.
All of the pieces have lined up now, Terrace.
This is one of 4 available starting points. And bear in mind, Terrace, I am reading the book as chapters become relevant.
Pretty sure we've done like the other 3 starting points, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We went straight past
them. Yeah, no, I'm really liking the way I have wound up creating this story. Doesn't necessarily make sense, but also the Irina Kolyana storyline is really fucking easy for a group of level 9s, but a single level 9, that might be a bit of a challenge. So, they made a stupid decision and split the party up. I'm going to take advantage of it. And yes, this is Ep39. We have just begun the campaign. So yeah, Ismark leads you back to his house, or probably leads you outside, and then Van Richten says, "Oh no, we brought her here," and he hops up, and you drive instead. A weary-looking mansion squats behind a rusting iron fence. The iron gates are twisted and torn. The right gate lies cast aside, while the left swings lazily in the wind. The stuttering squeal and clang of the gate repeats with mindless precision. Weeds choke the grounds and press with menace upon the house itself, yet, against the walls, the growth has been trampled down to create a path all around the domain. Heavy claw markings have stripped the once beautiful finish off the walls. Great black marks tell of fires that have assailed the mansion. Not a pane or shard of glass remains in any window. All the windows are barred with planks, each one marked with stains of evil omen. Welcome to Whose Campaign Is This Anyway? Where the story's made up and the points don't matter. Dead set, Tank Hunter. Exactly. I shall never surrender. Yep, exactly.
Oh, look at this ray of sunshine that we've arrived upon.
Well, I should tell you about my sister before you meet her. She has been bitten. When we realized what was happening, that she had been chosen, I told her to stay inside. My father agreed, and then the beasts started coming. Every night. Without stop, without pause. Beasts and zombies, sometimes many creatures, bats, whatever you can think of, he sent them. Hence the damage. Last week, my father's heart gave out. The stress, too much.
Well, that does sound like a challenge.
Yes. And now the people of Barovia lack for a leader. And I am Ismark the Lesser. And none of them will even help me move my father's body because of this. I can't say I disagree with them. When one is marked as clearly as we are. So, what is it you want with my sister? Well, first of all, just meet and greet, but then potentially to get her as far away from he that lives in Ravenloft as possible. And he looks at you for confirmation.
We believe she may be worth protecting. More so than we can do right now.
For myself, I don't disagree. If this is what you plan, then I will help you. I want my sister gone from here. It is the only way to keep her safe. And if you believe yourself capable of protecting her on the road, please get her to Valakai. I understand it is at least somewhat protected. She will not go, though. You will have to convince her.
Leave that to us.
Arena!
Little
And he bangs on the front door. And from within you hear a woman's voice say, "What is the code?" Arena, it's my voice. And then when you hear nothing more, except no, actually, I think you probably would hear one thing. You would hear the ratcheting of a crossbow. He says, "Fine. Password 123. We really need a better one. Though in fairness, who would think of this? It's so stupid."
Oh God, it's my luggage code.
Good pull. Deep pull. I'm giving you a D4 for that. Spaceballs reference. Hell yeah. With an exclamation mark? Yes. No, it's an explanation mark. And that's why no one would guess it. And then the smell of dust after rain. The interior of the mansion is well furnished, yet the fixtures show signs of great wear. Noticeable oddities are boarded up windows and the presence of holy symbols in every room. The Burgermeister is in the side drawing room on the floor, lying on in a simple wooden coffin surrounded by wilting flowers and the faint odor of decay. Which says something, because the body is 5 days old, trust me. Even in a cold climate, that would be more than faint. Because I used to work in the funeral trade. I have experience with this kind of thing. 40 degrees in Australia? No, you don't want to see that. Not after 4 days. No, dear sir. That was the last day I did that job. And that's not why. It was the last day I did that job. I was about to start my master's degree, and we got a call out to... I was like, surely this is a coroner's case, guys, right? And the cops are like, nope, he slipped and fell out of his shower. What's, there's no motive. No, this is fine. I'm like, I don't really want to... I won't share any more details, but I did show up to my first day of my master's degree smelling literally of death. In a 3-piece black suit as well. And they were like, wow, you'd go all out. And I was like, no, I've just come straight from work. And they're like, it's morning. And I said, I used to work nights. Yeah. So, yeah. Irina proves to be a Terran. Is a strikingly beautiful Terran woman in a practical red dress with a high collar of her white blouse, which is underneath the dress, turned up. Over this, she wears an artfully made silver breastplate with pauldrons. The picture in the book is actually stunning, but she's not a Terran in the book. Yeah. This is the original Irina Kolyana.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. But I have decided she's a Terran. That seeps into literally, what? My dude, we cleaned out a friend's great uncle's house after he passed away and nobody knew for more than a week. Oh no. Body was gone, but the hoarder house still, yeah. Oh dear. I won't tell some of my stories from London. Winter in London is boom time in the funeral industry. Because it's cold and people are poor. I will. No, I won't. I will not share that story. It was a thing. Yes, Irina greets you, and Van Richten says, "Gosh, the resemblance is striking." And would Ez have seen a picture of Tatiana?
Possibly, but it might not have been particularly good quality, so she might have no idea.
Even just if you just heard what the woman did look like, a gorgeous Terran woman, given what you have been told, you're like, okay, yep. The blouse's collar is very deliberately turned up. And Ismark makes introductions. Rictavio, I believe it was, and Ezmerelda, friends from the tavern. My sister, Irina Kolyana. And she nods politely and then says, "So, you have come to help my brother with our father?" "No. They came for another reason. They want to talk to you. About the matter which I have been talking to you about." And at this, the young woman almost flies into a rage. She's, "I will not leave him. You cannot make me otherwise. I don't care what is waiting for me out in the dark, unless he is seen to first."
That is
Ismark.
okay. We are not asking you to leave him. That is the last thing we would like for you to do.
Then you are prepared to help?
If we must, we must. You have done well guarding him thus far.
No.
Now accept the help so that we can move on.
If that is why you are here, then you are very welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it. No one else in this forsaken town is, well,
Strong enough?
willing. I don't know how strong you are, but my father is not a heavy man.
Of mind is still weak.
I was stronger in my younger years, but I'm sure I can help after an honored gentleman. Yeah. Yeah, cool. She says, "Then, anything else you have to say to me, you can say when you come back. I will prepare a supper, and we can talk about that over that, Ismark." And whilst not exactly like browbeaten, Ismark is, "I know I'm not going to get anywhere with this unless I do what she wants." He's lived with his sister for a long enough that he's like, "Yeah, all right, fine." When she's got her mind set on something. Yeah. She says, "Then I am sorry your visit was so brief. Here, let me get the door for you." And Van Richten says quietly to Ezmerelda as things are going on around them, it's like, "It really is a whirlwind visit we're doing, isn't it? Good job." seeing the inside of practically every inhabited place in Barovia. And now off to the church. I love a good church.
Really?
In this place, absolutely, I do. Yeah, with a little extra fuss, you pack up the Burgermeister's body and
It's got.
yeah, into the cart. You put the lid on. This is clearly a homemade coffin. In fact, you find an old wardrobe that they have clearly dismantled in order to make it. And so it's not fantastically well made, but it's surprisingly well made for a couple of non-carpenters. Yeah, it'll look. It's a box. That's all you need. The story I was going to relate, I will, because the conversation has continued on in chat. It was a name I vowed never to forget. The chap's name was Kenneth Belford. He was 61 years old, and that's all I know about him, because no one came to the funeral. And I'd buried hundreds of people by that point, and I was like, what do we do when there's no one? And the funeral director said, I read the words, and we put him in the fire. The trick was, I drove the hearse that day, and the thing with bodies is there is a significant chain of title. You have to know who you've got, because they give the ashes to people and they don't want to give them the wrong ones. It's happened more than once. It's really embarrassing. So the person who's driving the hearse is taking possession of the corpse. So yeah, you have to make sure you know who you've got. Normally, that's a relatively simple issue. They'll have a tag on their wrist with a name and a date and everything. I opened the box. There was no tag. The body was in a bag in the box. And there was it just written on the side of the bag. I'm like, look, that's easier, but... Huh? Okay. And then we picked the box up. And Kenneth was sloshy, is the only word I could use. So I was like, holy okay. So, yeah, 61 is no age. And clearly had not been found in a while. And no one comes to the funeral. And I'm like, holy shit, this is... So... This was about 3 months after my grandmother had passed away as well. I probably hadn't processed it properly yet, because I did not cry at my granny's funeral, but boy did I cry at Kenneth's. And yeah, me and one of the other pallbearers were like, do you mind if we stick around? So we sat and we said a prayer for Kenneth, and the other two went out and had a smoke. They were jaded. Yeah, we were it was two 20-somethings and two 45 pluses, and the 20-somethings stayed inside, and we said a prayer, and we then we went, and I got into the car to go home, and I cried, because I was like, fuck, that is awful. And because somebody must have paid for the damn thing. It wasn't just a pauper's funeral. This was it would have cost £2,000 or £3,000, that funeral. And we're like, no, even that person? I don't know exactly what the situation was. Genuinely don't. No idea. And it doesn't really matter, because ultimately nobody should die unnoticed. So I made a vow to myself that I would never forget that name. And aside from my wedding, it is the most appreciated, liked, commented on Facebook post I have ever done, of telling that story and saying, if you're a God-fearing person, say a prayer for Kenneth, and if you're a drinker, raise a glass for Kenneth or something, because no one should go unremembered. At the other hand, I've seen some of the funniest, most joyful things I've ever seen in the funeral industry as well. No one celebrates the life of a man like the West Indians do. The West Indian Londoners are amazing. I was driving a limousine The limousines were essentially a Ford Falcon that they'd cut in half, put in the middle of another Ford Falcon in the middle of, and then soldered it all back together again. So not fantastically made cars. And really, I don't know if you've ever driven a Ford Falcon, but they're very low to the ground. So they don't deal well with speed bumps. Particularly not if you've got 6 quite big West Indians in the back seat. The best part of a ton of human being in the back seat of the car. And all of a sudden, we were going down the street to pick them all up and scraping over these quite heavy-duty speed bumps. And then on the way back, I beached myself on one of them. And I had to ask them to get out. And props to these guys. They thought it was fucking hilarious. They were like, no, it's all good. We understand. I was like, I'm really sorry. And they're like, no, it's fine. I was like, I remembered for the return journey, I had to take it really fast to get over the top, so I was accelerating towards a speed bump. Anyway, we got to the funeral. It was a 4-man carry, and it should have been at least a 6, if not an 8. He was a big chap. In a metal coffin, in a casket, not a coffin. And in London, they bury them 3 deep because it's not a lot. The graveyards are quite small, so some of the graves are 18 feet down. And this was one of those ones. And the method you do, you put it down on a bunch of wooden planks over the grave, and then you have straps that are essentially seatbelts from cars. So they're really sturdy things. Good evening, Lost Archives. I am telling a very fun story, and I hope you'll appreciate it. And then you pull up you basically just bend your knees and then just stand with your arms straight, and it takes the weight really well. And then you're wearing leather gloves, and you let the seatbelt slowly run through your hands at the exact same time the other people do. Otherwise, if one person lets go, the entire thing comes a cropper, and someone has to get into the ground and help this person fix himself out. It's never happened to me, but I heard some stories. So we take the weight. We're like, whoa! I felt myself get about an inch shorter as we took the weight. And then the funeral director comes in, removes the chocks from underneath, so we're ready to lower. And then the priest says, hold up there, chaps, we're just going to sing a hymn. And we all went, doop, like the solid, all 4 eyes go at once, go, what the fuck did you just say? I didn't know that Amazing Grace had that many verses. Lost Archives, thank you so much for the raid, guys. Thank you for coming. I hope we're having a lovely day. I hope your stream was great. So we're standing there holding this 200-ish kilos of human being and coffin over this hole, waiting to lower it while the full bore, like, wailing and gnashing of teeth. Hallelujah! 200 odd West Indian Londoners screaming at the top of their lungs, crying, the rending of flesh. And we were like, wow. And midway through this, one of the other pallbearers, Dean, 5'0", skinhead bloke, proper, like, I tell you what, me old muck, I tell you what, didn't have a cigarette in his hand, but he was always proper Cockney lad, used to be a bouncer, 5 foot, yeah, amazing guy. His ringtone was the Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. And none of us had ever heard it before, because pallbearers, like actors, you keep your phone on silent, like forever, just in case. So none of us knew that. And now we're standing there. We need both hands to hold on to this box. And then halfway through Amazing Grace, you start getting the Immigrant Song at top volume coming out of his breast pocket. And Dean's there trying to, like, smush his top pocket with his elbow, with his upper arm. And I was like, shut the fuck up. First, the intro, the first verse, the chorus. Before his wife, who was calling him to get milk. We find out later. Eventually, like, damn it. All right, never mind. The priest was giving us, like, furious eyes. We're all standing there going, can't laugh. We can't laugh. If one of us laughs, it's gone. It's all over. Cut comfortably the funniest thing I've ever experienced, and I am not allowed. But we thought we'd gotten away with it. The only person who knew was the priest. We're walking away later as we lower him into the ground. Everything is fine. Patchworks, thanks very much for the follow, you bloody champion. Avast, matey, you wee scallywag. This is not the main adventure. We are playing D&D. I've just taken a side note because bodies were involved. So we're walking away. We're giving Dean shit, and we mean to continue doing so. On the way back to the wake, I'm taking the same 5 or 6 people. The way it works is, the more limousines there are, the youngest driver is the furthest from the body, normally. And I was almost always the youngest. The funeral industry is the highest average age of employees of any industry. So the ones I had in my limousine were normally the ones who were related to, but only distantly, to the person in the box. So often I was the one who was getting conversation rather than just tears. So my rule for myself was, if they ask me one question, I can answer. If they ask me a second question, they're up for a conversation. And these guys get into the back, and it was all a bit somber at first, and then one of them said, how funny was it when the phone went off? And I was like, oh no. They did notice. Never mind. And they were like, it was the best. And I was like, they were like, well, who was it? And I said, it was one of the other pallbearers, actually. And they were like, that's the best. That's amazing. And I was like, yeah. His favorite band was Led Zeppelin. They thought it was the guy in the box calling. So we get back to the wake. And they say, you're coming in? I was like, oh, no, that's, no, I don't think that's appropriate. And they were like, you sure? The watermelon's been going for a week. And I'm like, you're going to have to be a little bit more specific about what you mean by that, my friends. And they were like, well, what we do, you get a power drill, right? And a watermelon. And you drill a hole in the watermelon large enough to fit the neck of a Caribbean rum bottle. And then you just sort of leave it. And it slowly absorbs into the water. And I was like, well... Look, I should probably come in and pay my respects, tell us, yeah. I really should not have driven that limousine that afternoon. Nothing quite as exhilarating as pretty drunk on watermelon. Driving a limousine over the bridges in Chelsea, which are 6'6" wide. And I know this because the car was 6'4" wide. And so you have about an inch of clearing on either side, and they have bollards, and you're like, okay, breathe in, everyone. Back to the thing. Yeah, that was just no one celebrates the life of a person like a West Indians. I kind of hope, I want my funeral to be that, but with a Viking burial. Probably the best story for it ever. Any chance that this can work into the next campaign? I will see. Tank Hunter, we will see. Power Drill and Watermelon is the best start to any story, yes. Hey, Calsho, nice to see you, mate. Yes, well, let us get back into it, because we're doing our own burial. Not our own burial, but we're doing a burial of somebody that we know in the game. So, let us continue. So, yes. And we're not in the Kresk Inn anymore. We are taking the body out to the local chapel. Atop a slight rise against the roots of the pillar of stone that supports Castle Ravenloft stands a grey, sagging edifice of stone and wood. This church has obviously weathered the assaults of evil for centuries on end and is worn and weary. A bell tower rises toward the back, and flickering light shines through holes in the shingled roof. The rafters strain feebly against their load. The heavy wooden doors of the church are covered with claw marks and scarred with fire as well. Every now and again, the bell rings. Sort of once every couple of minutes or so it rings. But with no sort of regularity, like no precision. It's whenever somebody feels like pulling the rope, basically. Oh, it absolutely could have gone down like a lead balloon. Apparently only about half the people heard it, Terrace, but most of them thought it was absolutely hilarious. the funeral director was the only funeral director I'd ever worked with who would have who wasn't going to crucify you for that. Yeah. He was like, so Dean, that's never going to happen again, right? And he was like, I'm really sorry. I genuinely thought it was on silent. And he's like, nah, it's fine, mate. Just don't let that happen again. And maybe have a different theme song. And I was like, thank God it wasn't me. Mine is the Imperial March with Darth Vader. Like a Led Zeppelin. Yeah, very good. Sorry. They're very good, Terrace. Yep.
I love the puns. The puns are strong today.
Yes, very. The bell rings out. Ah! Yeah. Well, that was the reason they were called Led Zeppelin. I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was one of the Beatles. Said, yeah, they're about as much use as a lead balloon or a Led Zeppelin. And that's where the name came from. I think it was Led Zeppelin. Anyway. Ringtone was Primo Victoria by Sabaton. Hell yeah. That would have also been bad at a funeral. Wicked Witch theme for my mother-in-law. But she's so lovely, Teres. How could you? Anyway,
My ringtone used to be banana phone, so I don't think that would have gone down.
Before, when I was still using there are 9 buttons or 12 buttons and that kind of a phone, I had one that you could record your own, so I had my own voice saying "to the wenching Cove" as my ringtone for a while, which was quite fun. Because that was while I was at university, dressed like a pirate. So on the train home, with all the businessmen in their dour business suits and having busy with business faces, and I'm there in a flamboyant frock coat, looking a little bit like Jack Sparrow if he was de-aged 20 years and didn't know about face makeup. And then all of a sudden, my phone, with aviators on as well, important point, and then "to the wenching Cove" comes out of my pocket, and I go, ahoy hoy. Just to throw as many things they didn't expect of them at once. You are accompanied by Ismark the Lesser. The door has been nailed closed behind you as you leave, and he says, hopefully the lesser thing will fade as the people come to accept me as the Burgermeister. And it may well help if less attacks come, because my sister is no longer in town. So there are many reasons to get her out of here. Thank you again for this, my friends. My very new friends. It's odd, I find you in tavern, you come help me bury people, and then I send my sister off with you without really knowing you. So why is it then that I recognize this cart and that cane? And Van Richten goes, well, I can't explain the cart, but I've been to Barovia a few times, though I don't think we've ever actually met, Ismark, but I did know your father a little, though you he looks at Ezmerelda for a "do you think this is wise?" Reaching to a ring that he just plays with on his finger. But I have I don't think that you and I have ever made each other's acquaintance before, but I have gone by many names, many different professions in my life, and my friend Ezmerelda travels around as well, so it may be where you noticed the cart from. It is originally, I believe, Vistani manufacture, though Ezmerelda is of course not, and has made some modifications since then, so it could be why, I suppose. He says, and Ismar goes, You have the look of adventurers about you, though. Yes? Some who call me Tim?
We may look like adventurers, yes. And it is true, we have experience with beasts, which is why your sister will be safe with us.
What brought you to Barovia other than my sister? No one comes here just to visit somebody.
We happened upon some children who had been stolen. We brought them home.
And negotiated their release in the first place, which was sort of more the thing. But everything done amicably. Shouldn't happen again. That's sort of dealt with. Bit of a change of leadership in the organization. We won't bore you with the details, but yes, there is a young Elluran boy called Matteo. Nice chap, nice kid. He was one of them. And he says, "I know this child. You're safe." They were taken by prowlers. You negotiated their release.
Ez is going to look at Richten being like, you said it, not me.
Yes. I don't know of any prowlers. I only saw folks. But there was a very nice young lady named Zwelika who seems to be in charge of that situation now, and I think she'll do a lot better than the previous chap. I believe he is no longer a going concern there. They have, yes. Matteo!
I come and we want to
We're
go home.
back to the West Indians. Cool. He says, he smiles, a knowing smile, and then says, "Suddenly I am more comfortable leaving my sister in your hands. Keep your secrets. I will not pry them from you. I doubt I could. I thank you again. Come, let us go and see Donovich. I have not seen the man in some time. He refuses to leave the chapel, and has done for nearly a year now." He dismounts, and within, the chapel is a shambles. Overturned and broken pews littering the dusty floor. Dozens of candles mounted in candlesticks and candelabras light every dusty corner. They are lit, and everything is. So someone is keeping these things alight. In a fervent attempt to rid the chapel of shadows. At the far end of the church sits a claw-scarred altar, behind which kneels a priest in soiled vestments. The priest is a Mapache, and next to him hangs a long, thick rope that stretches up into the bell tower. From beneath the chapel floor, you hear a young man's voice cry out, "Father, please! I'm starving!" And I think we'll leave it there. For now, we will have a short little breaklet and come back in 5 to 10, because the music had a perfect sting as well. It's a really good one. Lurk, Laurite, take care. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope you had a lovely stream your own self. How did Shadowheart go? We also need to have a shout out for the wonderful beans at the Lost Archives at the Lost Archives. If you want some quality D&D, you can do far worse than checking out the Lost Archives. They're fantastic guys, stream team buddies, and lovely beans. So yeah, go and check them out, smash the follow button and all those fun things as well. The Cal Show, thank you very much for the follow, you bloody champion. Avast, matey, you wee scallywag. We've had a bunch of follows tonight. I feel very loved and appreciated, don't we, Ellie B? So, we will be back 5 to 10. Have a lovely break, guys. We'll see you very shortly. Say goodbye, Ellie.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Vast ahoy and g'day once again to you mateys. We be back for some more Humble Strahd, Strumblewood, or whatever you want to call it. So this is Curse of Strahd, but set in Barovia of the Humblewood. Humblewood being a third-party setting by the Hit Point Press, where all the people are animal and the points don't matter. Because that little element of diction is now in my head. So yes, Ezmerelda is actually not on the character roll underneath LAB right now because we don't have art for her yet. However, I will be getting LAB to write my artist a description so that we can get art for her soon because...
Sent it and then just never sent it. I'm sorry.
Oh, really? You actually... Oh, cool. Amazing. Well, then it can happen very soon.
I will send it as soon as possible.
Yeah, so because I know Daria is bored. But this is Ezmerelda, as is described in the book. She's rather boss bitch person, and will fit in perfectly with the rest of the other boss bitches in the team. What else do we need to say and do? I don't think very much at all. We are back. It is season 4. I've done things in a slightly unusual order, but they're getting to the crunch point now. They're starting to find the bits and pieces they need to defeat the man himself, who is in this world my homebrew race, a Terran, Batfolk, the Pteran, as in Chirop Terran, Ezmerelda and Van Richten have just gotten to the chapel of Barovia and encountered the priest, Donovich, a Mapatch man, so a raccoon folk, in slightly soiled robes, though he does not actually look like a raccoon, he looks like a red panda. Little red panda guy, and in the robes of a priest of Ardea. Ardea being the Lathander analog. If you're on the gods of Faerun, the Morning Lord, the Lady of the Sun, all the basic sun worshippers. That's who she is. Though she is in this world depicted as a stork, who glows with the sun's radiance, and she is hard to find around here. The light of the sun very rarely gets through to the ground in Barovia, so there's that. And occasionally this priest is sitting there in sort of deep focus, praying, and occasionally remembering to ring the bell next to him. And then you have heard the super groovy phrase, "Father, I'm starving," screamed from under the floorboards. What do you do?
Normal for your worshippers to be all 6 feet under, or is it just a fun habit of this church?
Ismark says, "There is an undercroft." Though,
And what is he doing under there?
the priest Donovich did have a son. I thought him dead. I'm saying you are like at the doorway, that you're not talking to Donovich yet, that you have not progressed far up the nave.
Oh,
And he said, "I thought him dead when they all attacked the castle last year."
That person sounds alive for now. I think we need to talk to the priest.
Ez, you can make an insight check if you like, because Van Richten hasn't said shit. Oh, there it is. You've had some rolls today. 2 23s and a 1. Amazing. Alrighty. Yeah, Van Richten hasn't said shit. Lancaster, thanks very much for the follow, you bloody champion. Avast, matey, you wee scallywag. Lancaster plays with me on the weekends when I am not live streaming. And I believe the Cal Show does too.
Do I have an inspiration? I can
You
just
do have
reroll
an
that?
inspiration. You do if you want.
Should I reroll this one?
You can
Or
reroll it, yeah.
Would it? Oh, is this gonna help me if I do or don't?
I'm not telling you that.
Of
That
course you're not.
That would be telling.
I might save it because I'm willing to bet I can probably get whatever it is out of Van Richten later anyway.
Yeah, true. But you could also, it's probably managed to blackmail Rowan into giving you another one. I'm sure she's got loads of channel points.
Ro even still here? Ro, are you still
Oh, I
here?
don't know. Sticking with the one?
I'll stick with the one.
Okay.
I will live with the consequences of my terrible
You
actions.
do not even notice then that Van Richten hasn't said a thing. In fact, there's a reason that, it's because of this magic that's going on with his visage that he, if it was his servant form, you probably would pick up on it. But no, he's just quiet, looking around. He's very alert. That would be the only thing you've noticed about the man. And says, and Ismark says, yes, I think we need to talk to Donovich. Priest, quit your mutterings and talk with us. And the priest, whose head has been bowed this entire time, sort of snaps up and says, yes, yes, yes. Welcome to the chapel of Our Lady. How can I help you? And he comes over, as he's not a zombie, but he kind of walks like one a bit. Like, probably more like the. I don't know if you've ever knelt for half an hour and then stood up.
In Japan, what do you think I used to do?
Oh, true. I don't know. Basically, my question is, how good are your knees? His aren't so great. Hey, Avis. His aren't amazing, and he's sort of, he has clearly been in that position for a while. Says, how can I help? How can Our Lady of the Sun help?
We would like to request some assistance with a body. We hear you are the person to talk to.
Yes, of course. Yes. Simple matter. I don't have an acolyte at the moment. But the job is a simple one. If one of you can remain in here and continue making the obeisances at the altar, I can take the others out and we can arrange a burial. If you are in a hurry, Ismark, who is it we are burying? My father? My condolences, my good man. I am so sorry. That is... Well, at least it is the order in which the lady intends. A man should not have to bury his own son. Come! You, sir, have the look of a man who is an amaranthine Fiera. And he says to Rictavio, could I trouble you to stand at the shrine and pray for the deliverance of all who stand in Ardea's light? And he's clearly choosing his words quite carefully there. Well, I take your companions outside and we arrange the last rites for our good Burgermeister. And Rictavio says, yes, I can absolutely. It's been a while since Ardea and I had a chat. Happily. And he looks at you and gives you an eyebrow raise, like, you'll be alright?
Can Ez run an insight check on the priest?
Yep. Oh, Lancaster, thanks for the sub, buddy. Good on you, champion.
Hope it's not another one.
Yeah, here we go.
6.
You have a D4 as well as an inspiration, though I don't think a 4 would get you much more. What are you trying to learn?
Just wanted to see if I could gauge anything about why he might be picking his words.
His eye movements are that of somebody who has lived with constant observation. The way he holds himself is that of, somebody who is used to who is expecting persecution.
Okay.
And
probably just raise the eyebrow back, being like, why wouldn't I be okay?
and goes and says, I shall go and pray then. Would you like me to ring the bell? Oh, if you wouldn't mind, that would be very nice, I'm sure. The hopeful sound gives people, well. And he says, come then, Ismark, let us see your father. He has a coffin? And Ismark, we manufactured one, my sister and I. Ah, yes, of course. Irina did not join you. She is at home. And cannot leave it. For fear. Ah. Yes, well, that is unfortunate. Come. And that you can make an inside check on.
Thank you. We're getting there. We got an 8. We're going out.
Squeeze! This man knows something about Irina. But what, you haven't the faintest. There was definitely a realization, like a, oh, in his eyes. So yeah, he takes you outside and says, Ismark, shovel. Your father would probably prefer the family plot. Here. And he takes you up a small hill that looks down over the village itself. It is a bleak sight with a small tree that has long since passed above it. Hey, Jack, you old square peg, how are you, mate? I love the little Cthulhu. That's very cute. Ismark begins to dig. Would Ez do, say, or be anything while the hole is dug and the occasional bell chimes out? Actually, the bell chimes increase in regularity to about once every 10 seconds and sort of fairly rhythmically.
I get the feeling Ez is going to pay attention to the bell.
Mm-hmm.
Just wondering if that may have been one way that Van Richten might be trying to keep contact.
Oh, stay in touch with her. It would probably be if something bad happened to him while, like, if he's keeping it going pretty regularly. If he is ever obliged to stop, it should be obvious. Yes. Yeah, but
stop or suddenly the rhythm changes. So she's going to keep
an ear out for that. Yep.
But beyond that, probably nothing special at this time. Just going along with what Ismark needs to do.
Yep. Cool.
He's kind of there as an observer.
There is only the one shovel. Well, there's probably more than one shovel, but only one has been proffered. Can I get Jack? Would you do me the favor of rolling an exclamation mark roll space the number 2 in chat, please? And I am thinking highs. If highs, then the priest Donovich will say something. If not, he will sort of keep his peace. A 2. Interesting. Then he will say, Ismark, your sister remains inside for good reason? Yes. She has been visited. A hard thing for a family to bear. What did your father tell you of how he found your sister? Only that she was found, wandering, an orphan child. Honestly, we assumed Fistani, or at least I did. Terran, after all. But who knows? Well, I do. And now your father has passed, I feel someone in your family should possess the knowledge. She was found out by the Svalich woods. No one knows where she came from. Vistani clans were contacted. A lost child wandering alone. There was suspicion she came from beyond the valley, though we don't know. But she had no memory of her life before the woods, before that night. And now he is showing an interest. And is he looks up Ismark, yeah. Ismark looks up and yeah, from the under, like, he's in about a 3-foot deep hole at this point. He puts the shovel down and sort of leans on the top and says, "What are you saying, priest?" I say she is not safe here. Even less safe than the rest of us. If he has taken an interest, maybe your friends can help get her out. Tell me, young lady, what do you know of vampires?
What I do not know of them is not worth knowing. My friend and I are here to help the young lady.
This is good. This is very good. Oh, praise our day for this and you. Can it be cured? The curse.
Yet, we will not know until we can get her somewhere safe.
Ismark says she has not turned. He has not turned her. I want to be very clear. She has not been turned. She has no cravings. The teeth are normal. I make her show me on the daily.
Then this is good.
But
It is no reason to get her away faster.
of course, yes. But in theory, can it be cured?
How much is this going to tell him? Oh, goodness.
He seems extremely keen to know this information, and possibly not because of Irina.
That's, yeah.
In theory, I would not discount it.
You have seen it done? Maybe perform it yourself?
I'm afraid that is asking too much of me.
Your friend, though, perhaps he may know?
There is possibility.
I will get another shovel. And he goes and gets a second shovel, leaving you and Ismark for about 30 seconds, if you have anything you want to say to Ismark.
I am glad to hear your sister is not in this position, but I think our priest friend may have something else in mind.
His son was named Doru. A nice boy. I thought far too gentle for a revolutionary. But some people you can only push so far. We all thought he was dead. Maybe he is. The priest comes back with a shovel and hops in, carrying not one jot for his bright yellow vestments. And it continues to assist Ismark in digging a proper grave for the Burgermeister. It says, "All right, very well. So, quickly, Ismark, help me with your father, and it is such a sad day when one must bury a father. But consider, my friend, that he is going to a far better place, a warm, happy place, with she who looks down and cares for us all." And Ismark stops him and says, "Father, please. You and I both know the realities of this place. I really want the last rites for my father and then some dirt on the top." Of course. Yes, of course. Well then. And he conducts the last rites. As this, I imagine you've seen this before, more than a couple of times. This is, if you're familiar, because you've seen this outside Barovia as well as within, the there is a distinct difference. There is, for all that he has been sort of quite referring to a lot of like Our Lady of Light and that sort of things, there is few references to what comes after and any sort of release, or because it's all far too bleak and far too, we all know that doesn't fucking happen. Yeah, you help him with that. Then he says, right, well, let us place the dirt, as you say. And he and Ismark begin filling the hole back in. Please, can I perhaps a little? I have some schnapps for grievous like yourselves. I would love to share a toast with you to your late father. Come. And he takes you back inside, and sitting on the altar, with his one knee over the other, ringing the bell, not with his hand but with a mage hand. You find Rictavio, his pince-nez glasses on the tip of his Vulpan nose, reading one of the holy texts of Ardea quite loudly. Far more loudly than one would need to in prayer. Please make me one more insight.
And just get anything above 10. Oh, thank God.
18.
18. We got there.
It does not translate well because he is wearing a literally full body covering disguise. But he has been crying. And I want to check in at this point. Ellie, are you okay? Or is it the acting that you're doing?
It is the acting. I am good.
Okay.
Let us go.
This is why an important thing to do every now and again, chat. You want to make sure your players are okay. Because this one's a bit heavy. So, yes, he has been crying. It doesn't show on the face, but more in his manner. Ah, hello. Good, all done, is it?
It is done. What are you doing?
Asked, as I was asked. I was, the differences in scripture are fascinating. So I have been sort of doing a spot of reading, spot of chatting. Again, a very deliberate word choice. And he says it looking at Donovich, with, of course, the lady upstairs. And Donovich tensed. And then you hear a sob from beneath the floorboards.
Unless the god is now responding to my companion's beautiful reading, I do not believe we have been introduced to the other person here, good priest.
And he is sort of, the nervous, yes. Yes, of course. My dear son, my only child, Doru, he is named. And he is the subject on which I wish to converse with you and your companion. He is not in his right mind of late. He is, I feel, He has changed from the gentle boy I raised. It is with Dardea's light that I was able to confine him in the basement. And I wonder if you could see your way to helping me with him. And Van Richten looks up and says, there is a way. But Doru does not consent. I apologize. I have taken the liberty. Doru and I had a little chat. I feel for you, I do. Few could know the pain that you are going through. But I do. I know it intimately. Death is the only escape. But it's not permanent. It doesn't need to be. No, he is my only, he's all I have left. And he's a good boy, he has not hurt anyone.
You saw to that he would not be able to hurt. But do you not see that he is now hurting?
I do, of course I do. I know how much pain he is in. He tells me all the time. I believe he was sent here to torture me. He nearly beat me, his own father.
And do you not think that is torturous for him? To think he almost beat his own father?
I know it is. What would you have me do? Let him go? You say there is a cure. Yes. But I don't like to do it unless they consent. Because if they don't want to come back, I can't make them. And they have to go first. My friend and I are more than capable, I imagine, of subduing and laying low your son. And I happen to have upon my person a scroll of magic I am not actually capable of my own self. It is worth a pretty penny, but I wouldn't charge you. A man in a position I have been in my own self. And at the time I did not possess such a magic. It's not something I'd wish on anyone.
Is there any way for us to talk to him? Possibly discuss the options more clearly? Or has he considered everything?
He's not in his right mind. Unfortunately, it's been what? Nearly a year you've had him down there. Yes. 11 months. A vampire. A spawn.
What?
Denied blood for 11 months.
The bloodlust is strong.
He's insane. The only way you could get a straight answer out of him would be to feed him. And if he drinks, well, there goes your chances of making him come back.
Too long.
And if he can't give his consent, you would have to. And the priest is pretty much just collapsed at the foot of the altar. He is definitely listening to Van Richten. Ismark is standing back, arms crossed, listening intently. Doru was a friend of mine from my childhood. With my father dead and buried, I am officially the Burgermeister of Barovia. Could I order his execution? And the priest is weeping uncontrollably and reaches out a hand for Van Richten and shakes his head. He can't speak. And Ismark sees this, but continues looking at Ezmerelda.
Ez is going to cast a glance over at Van Richten and the priest. And she'll turn back. It is within your power to order that. However, there will be consequences. There will be.
Carry on.
Yes?
He is a threat to the whole town. A blood-mad vampire spawn in the basement of our own chapel. One that admittedly no one ever comes to, but if he ever got out, and they are very strong when they need to be, if he was, say, freed by outside influence, and he sort of gestures around at the clear attempts that have been made to do exactly that. Donovich, this is not safe, and I don't just mean not for you. You are a good man. But Doru is so dangerous. What if he got out and beat a child? There would be nothing stopping him from draining it dry. I'm not asking you to do it yourself. But if these people think it's the only way, should we not at least try?
So come back.
At this point, and I know you did, but Van Richten has tried sympathy. Ismark has tried sort of tough love and logic. Does Ezmerelda have anything she could add?
I think she does. I do not believe this is how your son would like to say goodbye. But I believe it is the way he knows it must happen, so that he can say hello again. You need to give him the chance to make that choice. It will hurt.
Sorry, carry on.
It will hurt. But currently you are grieving someone who is still in there, who is still alive, with no end date in sight.
Is it not better to give him the option to end it, to be able to grieve and move on? Or is it better to give him the option to possibly come back than continuing this never-ending night? Our Lady would want him to be brought back into the light. Let him see it.
Make a persuasion check.
That is a dirty 20.
The priest looks up at you and says,
Getting the goods today.
Our Lady would not like him brought back. It is against the rhythm. Against all the Amaranthines stand for. But to my eternal shame, I don't care. Do it, please. I fear I cannot.
This is going to look at Van Richten.
Van Richten says, well, it's been a hot minute, but I'm sure we can oblige you. You may want to take a wander, short stroll. The listening might not be too pleasant. Can't imagine Doru will have any nice things to say to us when we go downstairs. So, you go downstairs. Hey, Tony, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. Ismark says, as Burgermeister, I am happy to come, prepared to come with you, assist if needed. Is my participation requested?
Depends. How good are you with a weapon?
He has a longsword sheathed on his back. The handle is well used. He's also wearing splint armor. Sorry, never bothered to describe him before. Yes, he is an eagle, a bald eagle man, in splint armor and with a longsword sheathed over his shoulder, in the Barovian style. And he says, I was trained to be Burgermeister. I know the pointy end goes in the other man.
Then we shall get along splendidly.
How effective are... This is a good sword, but it's not magical. Is that important?
We need to subdue not men, if I am correct, Van Richten.
And she's going to use his full name.
Yep. Yep. He doesn't say anything, but he does smile. Yes. Yes, Ezmerelda de Venier. It is probably best to subdue rather than... Really? No, you're right. It is probably best if we can just pin the boy down.
I think it's fixed.
Look, why hide it? That's probably why you know the cane, my lad. Your father and I shared many a good evening and better brandy. And I mourn his loss deeply. Yes, pin him down. long enough for me to cast the spell. Ideally before he dies. Stops moving around anyway. Don't get any holy water on him. Right.
I think that's good.
There goes 1,000 gold pieces. Here we go. All right. And he says, "Oh, the priest is not a wealthy man, but I may be able to provide you some form of recompense for the service you are doing my people and my sister today. Let's be about this then." He leads you out around the back, takes you down a flight of stairs made of chiseled marble to a cast iron door that has been barred shut. As now a centaur. Yes. Van Richten says, "I've always hated this bloody thing," and takes off the disguise ring and grows about 1.5 feet. His horns are, rather than a flared rack like in the artwork we have down there for Javier, Van Richten's are front to back in the manner of a reindeer. And he is, yes, very moose-like features. And he sort of cricks his neck from one side to the other, like being his smaller form is actually a bit irritating for him in his spine, and says, "Well, there we are. It's a bit of a different. Been a while, hasn't it? This will be like old times, right?" Ismark.
I got used of my neck not feeling like it was going on a bobblehead.
I'll put it back on as soon as we go back to town, don't worry. Ismark, yes, the goal here is to grapple the lad. We'll probably have to injure him enough to restrain him, but don't kill him. How do you want to do this?
Not let him bite you.
Me in the middle? You in the middle.
For the sake of things, let's put me in the middle.
Very well. A rose between two thorns, Ismark. Here we are. Right. And he says, "Well, ladies first." Lifts the bar on the door and allows you to initiate. Please roll me initiative.
That is 12.
12. Ez gets a 12. How does Doru do? Doru gets a 16 plus quite a bit.
God damn it.
19 for Doru.
Jesus.
Can I get 2 D20s in chat? Exclamation mark, roll space, the number 20 in chat, please, for Van Richten, the first one, and second one will be for Ismark. So V and EI. But it looks very much like yeah, that's a 5 for Van Richten. Thanks very much. Terrace, with his, he does have a +1. 6 for Van Richten. And one more for Ismark. Ismark will be doing very well to beat a 19, though, with his +1. So it's probably safe to bet that as soon as the door is cracked open, a 6, thank you very much, Bishop Blood. So that's 7 for Ismark. Ezmerelda is going to get a vampire spawn in the face. Don't let him bite you, along with other things. The vampire makes 2 attacks, one of which may be its bite attack. It is going to claw at you first, Ezmerelda. And he is going to... His whole goal here, probably not unsurprisingly, is to... Oh, that was cocked. It was cocked between a 2 and a nat 20, though, so, you know, you're welcome. A 16 to hit Ezmerelda.
Yeah, that hits.
He
Meant to be.
successfully grapples Ezmerelda. He chooses to not do damage, instead grappling you. And then he is going to try for a bite attack. An 8 and an 8. 2 8s because he's grappling you. Plus 6, 14. Oh!
Yep.
As I imagine it's good, like, nope. Get away, get him off me!
Please tell me it's my turn to fight back.
It is indeed your turn now.
Good. Leg is going to come in very handy here.
I don't know how vulnerable they are to bludgeoning and the groin damage, but you can try it. The escape DC is not super high if you want to sort of wriggle your way out of his grasp. But you can just try and attack him instead. Get one of the other two to pull you away, because honestly, that's probably what Ismark will do.
Yeah. I mean, wriggling out might be...
You can use acrobatics to escape it as well. It doesn't have to be athletics.
What do I want to do? I'll try and get away.
Uh-huh.
That is a 14.
Is enough. You manage to wriggle your way out. Ezmerelda sort of scooting your little Jabin head underneath this big Mapatch's grasping arm. He is, similar to his father, a red panda, but lanky. Slender and lanky. Like he is, well, starving, maybe, a little bit. His arms, though, still, like, unusually long. Like, he's very gorilla-armsy. And yeah, you managed to scoot your head out from underneath. Anything else you want to do with your turn? Have any bonus actions you'd like to do?
I mean, I do, but also... No, I don't...
He mustn't drink!
No shit, Sherlock.
Sorry, just reminding everyone.
He's hungry, boys.
Rude, he must roll for consent. He did roll for consent, and Ez did not. Pair of 8s to try and bite with a +6 against an artificer, not a mainline combatant. Fucking lucky.
Yes. I think Ez is gonna throw a help at probably Ismark.
Uh-huh.
Just because she knows Van Richten can probably handle himself.
Very well. Then I'm going to ask for a bunch of attacks rolled in chat, please. Exclamation mark roll space the number 20, because Van Richten and Ismark are just going to wail on the guy for a turn and just drop his hit points a bit. Actually, Van Richten could probably do...
19.
A 19 is good, and Ismark is going first. So these first two are Ismark. Ismark is technically a veteran. Uses the veteran stats. He has a long sword, a short sword, and a heavy crossbow. He has a +5 to hit with his long sword, which he is wielding two-handed, I'm going to say. Is the vampire, like, in any way... It's resistant, not immune. So this will hurt, just not as much. So we got we got a 12 and a 19, which when you add Ismark's +5 makes the 12 a 17, which is a pair of hits. Thank you very much, chat. 2d10s worth of damage, which we will then half because vampires are immune. Oh shit! That is 2 10s. That is double max damage from Ismark. He knows what he's fucking doing. That is 26 damage, which we half, but still, on poor old Doru.
Didn't need my help.
And that's just Ismark. That brings him Ha! He's on 69 hit points. I wouldn't otherwise tell you, but he's on the good number. And then Van Richten is probably going to actually cast a spell. Does he have any good ones? No, not really. Yeah, nope. All right, fine. He's going to get out his sword. You see the cane. He flicks the top of the knob on the top of the cane, and out shoots a silver rapier, which he snatches out of the air and just lays into this vampire spawn with. We 69 the vampire boy, eh? You absolutely did. Filthy, disgusting. Thank you. So we will use Abys's 8 for the first. He is a sword cane, which is only +4 to hit, unfortunately, which means a 12 is not a hit. Can I get another attack, please, in chat? One more D8, D20, not an 8. Don't do an 8. That probably won't do it. But he does have the ability Undead Slayer. When he hits an undead with a weapon attack, the undead takes an extra 3d6 damage. So if we can hit, that'd be lovely. 12 from the Tank Hunter, which is a 16, which is a hit. There we go. No, that's good. We will take it. So that is 1d6 bludgeoning from the slashing, or 1d6 piercing from a silvered sword. This is a silvered sword, so there you go. So a total of 4d6s of damage from this silvered blade. Not quite as impressive as Ismark's, but it's still not bad because it's actually going to do the full. That is 15 points of damage. 3, 4, 5. Plus 1. 16 points of damage. And we go back to the vampire's turn. 53. And the vampire hisses and instead turns on Ismark, who just clopped him 2 really good hits. So I'm going to roll for Ismark, roll for the vampire. I shouldn't have rolled with advantage, and I did. Can I get someone in chat to roll me a d2 to determine which one was the first one, because that's important. So exclamation mark roll space the number 2. Thanks, Tony. That means the nat 20 was the first. This time he has been denied his prey, and he is really just lashing out to hurt people. So the nat 20 goes first, the 8 goes second. So he is just clawing at the at Ismark, who doesn't look anywhere near as tasty as Ezmerelda, apparently. Oh, thanks for the biddies, Tank Hunter. Bedtime for this Hunter of Tanks. Fair enough. You're amazing. Catch you next time. Well then, have a lovely sleepy times. And thanks for the biddies, you bloody champion. So let's roll some damage. It's not amazing damage from the claws. It's only 2d4 plus 3. Which I rolled a pair of 1s on, but I do brutal crits here. So there is an extra 8, so 10, 13 points of slashing damage on Ismark, which he did not enjoy at all. A waste of a crit. I'm really sad I didn't get to grapple and then bite, but there we go. He still has not tasted blood. It's Ezmerelda's turn.
I believe it might be a small hand axe time.
Hell yeah.
So let's see if that is going to hit.
A 12 does not, no. Do you have an inspiration and a D4?
Inspiration, we'll try that again.
Yeah, why not?
That was even worse.
Oof, okay.
That
You
one.
miss with the first attack.
I only get one attack, don't I?
If you're using a pair of hand axes, you can use your bonus action to make a second. They are light
yes.
weapons.
Also true. Better have that. Okay. Well, we'll try that once more.
One more time with feeling.
Nah.
Wow! Your rolls
not
have been
using the
yay
hand
or
axe
nay today.
Hand axe going into the pile of weapons of shame.
It's a +1 hand axe as well, goodness me. Alrighty. Rough. Never mind. Alrighty, well then, yeah, Ismark and Van Richten are gonna just wail on this guy, and just for speed, I will just roll all 4 dice right meow. Ismark, Van Richten. A 7 and a 1 from Ismark, and a 6 and a 14 from Van Richten. The 14 hits, meaning Van Richten gets to do his 46s one more time, which is, well, not even as good as last time. He cops another good hit, but it's rough. This time is the boy is going to turn around on Van Richten as the only person who's hurt him this round, and firstly try to grapple the man. Ooh! Successfully grapples him. Van Richten only has a 12 AC. We have found the appropriate prey. And then... Oh! A 14 on the dice. Which is a filthy 20 for the bite attack. And that was without advantage, actually. Yeah, or as a 22 on it. So, the bite attack on Van Richten. Must be grappled. Yep. 1d6 piercing. 2. So 5 piercing damage on Van Richten. And then, and this is the problem, 2d6 necrotic. Boo! 4. Van Richten has taken 9 points of damage and had his maximum hit points reduced by 4. And Doru is going to heal 4 hit points. Does anyone have a spell or any sort of plan?
No, we have no plan. I mean, I have a cannon.
Do you have any radiant damage? Because he's actually healing every round as well.
Yeah.
You know what I said about holy water? Forget it. If you've got any.
Sorry, I'm just trying to see what ones I've got. I have a flamethrower. Like,
That'd do it.
Sure. Let me build a cannon. Doesn't actually tell me how long that's going to take.
Yeah. Doru is looking so much better. I will happily say that you built your cannon before. Like this, I believe you just have it ready.
I did.
Because you're that kind of artificer.
Oh, I would like to detonate.
Detonate the cannon. Exploding it. Okay.
I can blow it up.
I love this for you. Not so much for him, but I love it for you.
Fire damage. Flamethrower. Let's go.
Go for it. Is this do I have to dodge or is it an attack?
Apparently it's 15 feet range.
Area effect, I'd have thought.
It's 15 dex for
Yeah.
that, so...
Or, so Dodo, I gave him disadvantage because he's in the process of grappling Van Richten.
Yes.
He rolled at best was a 9. The worst was a 6. He has a +6, so 12. So he does not successfully dodge out of the flamethrower. So you're burning him. You're burning him. Please, yeah.
Also, apparently Van Richten, because I think they're both in the same area.
That is also true. And Van Richten is also... he's also with disadvantage. He can't dodge for shit. Yeah, he is also going to cop the full there with a 10 on his dodge.
Sorry, darling.
Realm of Russ is raiding. Thank you very much, Realm of Russ, you bloody champions. Raiders, who the absolute heck are you? Where are you from? Let us find out. We want to know, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. We are playing a little bit of Curse of Strahd. We are doing 1v1 player versus DM game as well, which is not our normal way we work, but the party split up, and that was silly of them, and they have to learn. Let's have a shout out at Realm of Russ. Is that a Warhammer reference? Realm of Russ, what were they doing? They were doing some Dungeons and Dragons as well. Well, chaps and chapesses, please smash that. Head on over to Realm of Russ and smash the follow button. Let's just quickly do this my own self. You bloody champions, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We, of course, as Cove, we do some D&Ds every now and again, and we are very fond of it. This is our ongoing Curse of Strahd crossover with Humblewood, so Humblewood is a realm of little cute animal people, but we are playing Curse of Strahd in it, which makes it distinctly more messed up. I hope you guys had an amazing game. Tell us what you were up to. We're doing some map making. Hey, Marco Desune. I am Russ. I was map making. Well, fantastic. I hope you had a great time. I do use maps on the occasional. I enjoy myself a little bit of the dungeon fog when necessary. However, I do like theater of the mind as well, which is what we're currently doing because it's just a little fight. It's just 3 people fighting a vampire with a flamethrower. Fortunately, it is the people, not the vampire, that has the flamethrower. How much damage do Rudolf Van Richten and the vampire take from this flamethrower, this flamandever you are throwing at them? 7? No, that's not it. Eldritch Cannon, 3d8s. Oh no. 16 for the full. Okay, that's good.
I'm not Richten, I'm not.
Van Richten has also taken 16 points of damage. Good.
We'll fix you later. Fix it post.
He's still over 50. He's fine, both in age and hit points. And the same cannot be said for the vampire now. And now it's Van Richten and Ismark's turn again. Tell you what, Realm of Russ, I like flamethrowing. Hey, Marco, would you guys do me the wonderful favor of typing, I'm going to type one in too, ! Roll space the number 20. This is an auto generator, so I got a 14, which is not bad for Ismark's first attack. In fact, it's a hit. So I need 3 more, please. For the next 3 attacks. We got an 8 from Realm of Russ, which might be enough. Not quite enough. An 8 means a 13, which is not enough to hit, unfortunately. But a 10 from Marco Desune is just enough for Rictavio to hit. We need 1 more. Let's have another d10 for Ismark. Ismark is rolling particularly well. That's another 9 points of damage.
10.
And another 10. That's 2 hits from Rictavio. Very, very nice. Which is a buttload of d6s. I love rolling this many dice. That's why I keep so many d6s in my wooden forged dice tray. 8. Okay. 12. 18. 20. Ooh. 6, 8. 30. Not bad, Van Richten. He is also still grappled and has not tried to resolve that situation. He is just like, get off!
Once I'm not stabby.
Yeah. This is a slightly more wild-eyed and frantic version of Van Richten than you have normally seen. Realm of Rust, thank you very much for the follow, you bloody champion. Avast, matey, you wee scallywag. Muddled Pheasant. Roll me a d20. How do you do? A 10. Oh, that was the 10. Thank you very much for that. D6. Oh, why I love playing rogue. Yes, of course. We go back to the vampire's turn, who is still very much grappling Van Richten. He does not regenerate on his turn, and because he is badly injured and has been set on fire. Which I imagine is the whole reason Ezmerelda has a flamethrower. But he is going to make a couple of attacks on Van Richten to try and regenerate some of those hit points. The 16 is more than enough for his bite attack. So 2d6 necrotic. That's 9. That's a bit better. And Rudolph loses. Cocked. Stop it. Go in the tray. 10. 10 plus 3. 13 more points of damage on Van Richten. Which puts him up to 38 damage. And then the claw attack on the same guy, because why not? Yeah, plenty. So another 2d4s. Better this time. 2 and a 5. Total is 8 more. 46 out of 77. And he has also lost 13 max hit points.
Brilliant.
So currently it's actually 46 out of 64. Look, yeah, Van Richten, this boy buries his face into Van Richten's neck as his claws dig into the flesh of Van Richten's chest. And he says, "Look, it's now or never, Ez. The scroll's in my pocket, if you wouldn't mind, my dear. Quick, before he ingests too much." So, Ezmerelda, in his pocket is a scroll of Raise Dead. This is an Arcana check. Because technically it's not really how the spell works, but it's neat.
I mean, it's a good thing I've got a +7 on that. Oh, far out.
12. You do have a d4.
Yes, I will need that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was a 4.
Okay, so I rolled a save for our little vampire boy, who is now down to less than a third hit points. And which is what I arbitrarily decided was what you had to do to him. And he got an 11 on the dice, plus 3. Giving him a 14. You needed a 14, you got a 16. Ezmerelda, please describe to me how the scroll Raise Dead works on a vampire spawn who is currently in the process of sucking the life out of Rudolf Van Richten.
Who is also on fire.
Slay, Queen, slay.
I feel like this is going to cause like the flames to go out, so he's just going to be smoldering.
Yeah.
And like it's going to be kind of like it's smoke, but there's going to be like wisps of gold and silver kind of going through the smoke. And I feel like he's just going to kind of raise up and sort of sit back because he was grappling, correct?
Mm.
So He's now just going to sit back kind of on his haunches and just be very smoldery, I guess.
He does. He looks a bit baffled and confused. And then looks down at his hands, which are shrinking a little bit. His shoulders, his arms actually shrinking a little too, as he takes on a more normal dimensions. And he just retches up a torrent of blood.
Van Richten?
Van Richten is saying, yes, splendid. Good job. Just in time, I think. And Van Richten, with his left hand, holds up there is a web of light forming a sort of diamond prism in between his fingers, and then he slowly puts that into his chest and then rubs it up against his neck. You've seen him cast Lesser Restoration on himself before, and he goes, you've got a strong bite on you, Doru. Can't say I appreciated that one. Lad, your father is out round front. I think he would appreciate a hug, if you've got one in you. And Doru picks himself up and runs. Right.
I would say I'm sorry for setting you on fire, but...
No. You needed to stop him regenerating. I appreciate it. Don't worry about me. It's fine. Puts ring back on, returns to Vulpin form, is in no way smoldered. I could be naked under this. Bear that in mind next time you hug me.
I prefer if you won't.
Well, Ismark, good job. First act as Burgermeister of Barovia. Let's not make a habit of that one, I think. Right. Well, shall we back to your sister then? Yes. You're full of surprises, both of you. I did not know that was possible. And frankly, I wasn't certain if I was going to let you take my sister, but no. You have my thanks. And you will gain more of it as we go along, no doubt. And he takes you back to his home. Knocks on the door. Says, we really need the better one, but seeing as you will be leaving soon, perhaps not. Password 123. And takes you inside. He actually, just as you enter first, Ezmerelda, and then as Van Richten is going to follow, Ismark puts a hand in front of him, steps back, crosses his arms, and says, you are not welcome in my house. And Van Richten narrows his eyes and takes one step over the threshold. I changed my mind. You are fine in my house. Welcome. Wouldn't be the first. Thank you. So, Irina. Your father is buried. It was a lovely ceremony, I'm sure. As witnessed it herself.
That I did.
Now, your lovely brother here. has prevailed upon us to see if we can't deliver you safely to Valakai, or, might I suggest, I hear the weather in Kresk is lovely this time of year.
Ez is just gonna look and be like, Kresk, really? Even further out of our way?
Actually, no, it's not out of your way. If you're going to meet up with Selenox and Trish, they were going to the Wizard of Wines, which is beyond Kresk in terms of journey. And they were walking.
Catch them before they get there.
Yeah, you'll catch them before they come back. Anyway, they have successfully made it there, but yeah, Kresk is as far away from Barovia as it's possible to be in Barovia, and for good or ill, the abbot of the Abbey of Saint Markovia is a good man. I wouldn't impose on the abbot too much, but the Burgermeister is a solid man. But it is Irina, however, chimes in and says, "So, I know why my brother wants me gone. What interest is it of yours?" You can tell, because of your familiarity with the man, Van Richten is considering not telling her the truth.
Our interest is, as you put, less philanthropic than wanting to keep you safe. But we too have people we must protect. And to do that, you need to come with us.
And my brother seems to think you can keep me safe. I can handle myself. You don't doubt
I do
it.
not.
Almost in unison. Oh.
Yep.
If you're even half as useful as your
yeah.
brother, if not, I no reason to suspect otherwise. Then you're. But there is a vampire after you, my dear. And well, as we demonstrated to Ismark, vampires are something of our speciality. Though this particular vampire, neither of us are interested in tangling with. If it happens, it happens. But we have friends out in Kresk who will be able to assist us in that goal. And there may be a way to remedy your situation out that ways. And anything that puts that gentleman out in any way is sort of our goal. I hope that satisfies you. For now, though I am no man's plaything.
Of course not. We just live to make their lives miserable.
Yes, well, excellent. Well, marvellous. I believe there was talk of dinner, Ismark, before we take your darling sister away with us. Could we prevail upon you? Dinner is provided. Ismark sees you off on your merry the following morning. The night is not pleasant. There are wolves, at least. At one point, laughter. Booming laughter coming out of the dark. I don't imagine a lot of sleeping is done. But on the morning the three of you depart Barovia, your souls lightening with every kilometer you get further away. And I think we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for playing with me, Ellie. That was good fun. It's been a while since I ran one-on-one. And you were a really good sport. Thank you very much. So, guys, we're going to do now what we like to do at the end of our streams, and it'll probably be a little bit weird with just the two of us, but we are going to do our favourite moments, which is something we've stolen unapologetically from the dreaded GM, another splendid being of the D&D internet space and other TTRPGs. He's actually mostly diversified his content away from D&D now, but we go around the table and talk about all the things that happened and the things that we really liked, particularly the RP-heavy moments, and in an RP-heavy session, I imagine there's a few. You are more than welcome, chat, to throw up your own favourite moments as well. We'd love to hear what you think while we tell each other. So I need a D2 in chat, please, to determine who gets to be flattered first. A 2! It's Ellie B! Let us talk about Ezmerelda. Yes, it's also fun because most of us are neurospicy and we all hate being flattered, but also thrive on it. I loathe it with every fibre of my being, but I also suck it up like a sponge. So, favorite Ellie B moments, chat, and we don't make Ellie B go first, so I have to think up very quickly my favorite Ellie B moment. There was a bunch. I loved apologizing for setting him on fire. I love, just generally, your relationship with Van Richten. I love the sort of passive hostility.
Yeah.
I'm regularly in awe of how well you have come into this character almost fully formed, because I kind of just dropped this at Ellie B's feet and sort of let her run with it a mere 6 or 7 episodes ago, and she is so fleshed out and delightful as a character. She is Barovia to a T, and I love it. But there was a moment early on, I do not recall exactly what was said. No. Actually, for a favorite moment, favorite little one-liner, we live to make their lives miserable, was very fun. Yeah. Eye rolling at all the flirting.
Caught wind of you saying that, Bishop Blood. You would be slapped.
You might want to warn the guy. And also, because I'm gonna, I'll let you say your favorite self, and then I'll give you another one, because it did just occur to me another one. Favorite self?
Ooh, favorite self. So I really, really enjoyed doing some of the heavier moments today. Like, usually horror's not my genre. Not one that I'm
not me either.
So having some of the more in-depth moments it was a little hard, but no, it was good. It was really good. I really enjoyed being able to kind of express sort of how she thinks about things. It's not quite sympathy, it's not quite tough love, it's kind of in the middle.
Yeah, you melded a really good mixture of sympathy, tough love, and logic, with also just, this is the way it is. Yeah, Bishop Blood agrees. The speech at the priest, absolutely. Yeah, that was. Yeah, I love throwing descriptions at people. It's like, hey, describe this. That was fun as well. Yeah, splendid. I'm trying to remember. It keeps flittering into my brain and then buggering off again. This is the problem when you're detoxing off some pretty heavy duty medication, yeah, your brain is just a jelly. Super fun. Highly recommend it. Hyper specific word choices you make. Yes. Yeah, that was fun. Alrighty. Well, that's our favorite LEB moments. See, it goes really fast when there's just the two of us. Oh, look, a 1. Oh, well, I guess that's me then. Favorite DM moments. For folks who don't like horror, y'all are both great at it. This is the thing, Jack. It's not so much don't like horror, it's just not my genre. I think as LEB says, it's like, I enjoy it, I just don't actively seek it out. But, yeah, this one works for me.
I prefer to be the Disney princess. No. Favorite DM moments? All of them? I love when you have to have a long conversation with yourself as 3 different characters. It was beautiful. Where I'm just sitting there like, yeah, I'm just going to sit here and watch this. It's great. Oh, I have to talk now?
Yeah.
Those are fantastic. I really, really enjoyed that. And the lore drops. Thank you for that. It was very helpful.
Yeah.
Being able to listen to conversations that otherwise I would have completely missed because I rolled terribly in the middle of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
1, 2, 3.
Password 1, 2, 3 was just. It was so on brand, but also. It made the cybersecurity person in me just cringe because I have actively seen that in the last 2 days, and I'm just like, no.
I didn't prep it. That was me frantically trying to come up with a good password, and I was like, no, let's take a moment of levity and go funny. You hear a crossbow, really now? Fine. Yeah.
And just. Yeah. So that was one of mine. Also, some of the one-liners, especially with that bloody ring, being like, I could have been naked under this. It's like, God, no.
Yeah. I think my favorite me moment is my portrayal of the priest. Because it didn't occur to me until in the moment that Van Richten had exactly this situation. And yeah, the priest being cagey and then eagerly helping just as soon as he figures out who the fuck you guys are. That was my other you one. Isn't it Van Richten?
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, look, it worked. Yeah. My favorite me would be that, but also I really enjoy being Van Richten and trying to figure out how prickly Ez is on any given day. Navigating as this genteel, genial fuckwit. I play him a little bit like the way I play Santa, and it's kind of fun. Particularly as his name is Rudolph Van Richten, and I've characterized him as a bloody reindeer.
Yeah, you did that.
I did do that. So yeah, it was not my intent originally, but that is kind of where he's come from, and I do really enjoy him as a character and figuring out what he can be, how fun he can be, and what will piss Ezmerelda off if he doesn't. But yeah, getting bit is always entertaining. Glorious. Well, that's it. We've flattered each other. There's plenty of favourite moments. We've all been loved. So we are going to have a break next week. There will be no stream next week on Monday anyway. I might see if I can't organise a little bit of a Jason Statham's big vacation maybe on Wednesday or Thursday next week. So I might see if I can find some people. But it could be some Trouble Over Yonder could possibly be plugged. Absolutely. Well, as I understand it, it's the 6th of June, I want to say. This coming Thursday. And Jack, what I was actually thinking, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is 6 p.m. Western Standard Time. I was thinking I might do a little bit of a stream, say, around 5 p.m. on Thursday. And then raid in Ovi with you. So if you want to join us first, then we can go and drop a lovely big old raid on the splendid beans over at Jack Squarepeg. Because he's got a new show starting. It is Call of Cthulhu, I believe Pulp Cthulhu, with one of our lovely players from this stream. Well, actually two of them, because Jack is himself a smoothie, our lovely Batfolk boy, and Rampaging Ro, the wonderful Ro, is also on this channel as Selenox. Well, those two beans will be over there in a pre-recorded Pulp Cthulhu Western show that Jack has been working his cute little butt off on for a while now, and I'm hecking excited. I love seeing more and more Pulp Cthulhu stuff coming up over on Jack Squarepeg. So if you haven't already, chuck a follow over at ! Let's have a shout out for Jack.
Question.
Yes.
Does it being a Cthulhu pulp Western style thing, does that, instead of making it a spaghetti Western, does that just make it a tentacle Western?
Tentacle Western, yeah. It does now. I don't know how Cthulhu it appears, but yeah, I've seen some of the other stuff because Karen was over there last week playing with them. Seafood spaghetti, yeah. I wouldn't trust any seafood in that era that far away from the ocean. So yeah, check on over, head on over to Jack Squarepeg to check out that. Then I will be over on Ardana's channel, The Lawrite, on Friday night for some Vason, along with Karen and a few other folks, the wonderful Zach and Jess, the Renegade Chicken and the Queen Binch, respectively, and Sir Terrace as well. So loads of lovely folks. And that is sort of, we're wrapping up what we did in our last little 3-shot and preparing for Jack to come in and join us to be a part of a new adventure, because we enjoyed the characters so much, we're going to keep going. It's great fun. So yeah, there's lots of cool shit to be checking out. Karen and I will be back tomorrow night for some more Baldur's Gate. One way or t'other, she is not super duper well today, so hopefully she recovers. If not, it'll just be little old me. Probably painting some minis, actually. So one way or the other, we will be joining you tomorrow night, and then I might do a little bit of home brewing on Thursday night, and then raid on over to Jack. So it's going to be a fun old week here on the Corsairs of the Cove and the other places in the internet space. Ellie B, who the absolute heck have you been this evening? Hey, Hogan.
Hey, Ellie B. I am a serial lurker of D&D streams. Sometimes I appear on them. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Look, Mum, no hands! Yes. So, yes, I occasionally am on streams. Usually I follow them. And, yeah, you'll see me around, usually in this place at this time.
Excellent. Speaking of things to hype and promote as well, the other thing we do need to mention, some of you may or may not be aware, but the excellent and splendid Rachel Foucault has written a fucking book. She has in fact written 2. She's new one has come out, Hybridized by Rachel Foucault. Check that shit out, and all the places that you can buy books on Amazon. There's her links there for The Rings of Mars and Hybridize. I'm about halfway through Hybridize right now. You can get a digital copy of it and read it this fucking evening. I've read The Rings of Mars already. Very solid book. I have also ordered and I possess a physical copy of Hybridize. Both solid work. And Rachel Foucault's husband will also be in Trouble Over Yonder, because it's very incestuous, this little D&D community of which we have found ourselves, full of lovely folks, and we heartily endorse them. This is Corsairs Cove. I be Josh the Pirate. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me this evening. Thank you to our raiders. We've had a lot of bloody champions up in chat with their raids and their emotes and everything. And I appreciate the absolute heck out of all the love, you bloody champions. We have had the Realm of Russ raided us. The Lawrite raided us. I didn't even say hi. I didn't even see that one. And the Lost Archives have all raided us. You excellent individuals, guys. Thank you so much to all of you for the raids. Lancaster and The Cowl Show, Patchworks, Cleric, and Tank Hunter. Thank you all for the follow, you bloody champions. It's been a splendid evening, a lovely time. Wood and Forge are one of our people who we are affiliated with. They create some amazing handcrafted wooden tabletop accessories, like this little Jarrah box for my Corsairs Cove coin, my Corsairs Cove commemorative coin. This little boy. They make these special splendid things. They've got a thing on at the moment if you're of a WA-based persuasion. Because you see, we're trying to get the dreaded GM over here for Winterfest, which is down in Bridgetown in the middle weekend of July. And so Wood and Forge is paying for half of Dread's flights. And the people playing at Dread's table, he's going to be running a full campaign in his homebrew world, Oak and Ash. It will be canonic in his world. If you want to head on over to the Dreaded GM stuff over on Instagram, I don't have any links or anything, I'm afraid, but Winterfest, if you're of a WA-based persuasion, you want to play a short, like, I believe it's about a 12 to 14 hour campaign with the Dreaded GM over a weekend in a cold and dusty building in Bridgetown. I will also be down there DMing, as will the lovely Karen Schlink, the mother of bunnies. But if you fancy buying in for that one, tickets for his table will help fund his flight over. I'm not sponsored or affiliated in any way with them, but they are lovely folks, and if you do want to have that shit going on, then check them out. Wood and Forge, amazing guys. Here is the link for their stuff, and also, that's it. That's why it sparked in the memory. You get one of these if you buy in. That's part of the prize package. Wood and Forge will give you a little coin, a dreaded GM coin as well. They do loads of wonderful stuff though, so check out their stuff, woodandforge.com/Corsairs Cove, because if you do, I get a little cheeky little kickback, you bloody champions. I don't chill, but I do have bills. We also have another affiliate there, Trolllord Games. Check them out, trolllord.com. They do an awful lot of TTRPG stuff as well. If you want to find some excellent TTRPG goodness, check out trolllord.com. Well, LEB, we need to go and raid somebody now. I've got the Elden Ring. Not the Elden Ring. One Pitch Man is streaming. Who else have we got? We have Ginger Perks is playing Assassin's Creed Unity. Do we have anyone playing D&D? Nope, just us. Oh well. Well then, let's raid Ginger Perks, because Ginger is a lovely person. So we will drop a raid over on them. So guys, thanks so very much for hanging out with us this evening. We've had a lovely time. Hope you have too. Actually, I will just put up the links for the Discord if you want to join us over there in our Discord. And we also have a YouTube if you want to check out any of the episodes you may have missed. All 156 episodes are up there. I have to wait 24 hours to put the next ones up because Twitch T's and C's, but it'll be up by tomorrow evening if you want to watch this one again, if you missed bits of it. So we are going to go and raid Ginger Perks. So throw your favorite raid emotes up in chat. Tell Ginger where you came from. Show them the love like we always do. And we will see you same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow evening for some more Baldur's Gate 3. Say goodbye, Ellie. Bye. Whee!